Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today's the 19th of April, 2023. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So, a bit to talk about actually over the last 24 hours with regards to the SEC, Gary Gensler, and regulation in general. So, there was a House Financial Services Committee meeting with Gary Gensler present, and this was the first time that he came before the committee in 18 months. Now, I clipped pretty much the best part of that hearing, and I shared it on Twitter here. You can go watch it if you haven't yet. Obviously, as you can see from the tweet, it went quite viral. Over 2.6 million views on this video alone, which is pretty crazy, right? Well, I mean, almost a million views on the video. Sorry, 2.6 on the tweet. Not sure how Twitter counts views there, but still, a lot of people saw this tweet and watched this video. Which, I mean, I didn't expect it to go this crazy, but it was pretty crazy there. Now, what this video basically shows is Mr. McHenry here, who's the chairman of the committee, basically asking Gary Gensler whether he thinks ETH is a security or a commodity. And he asks this repeatedly in various different ways, not just constantly asking the same question. He rephrases the question. He tries to give Gensler a way, the easiest way possible to answer this question. And of course, Gary does not answer the question. He just keeps dodging, he deflects. And then at one point, Mr. McHenry here asks him, okay, well, then how do you think there is clarity for crypto when you can't even answer a question, this question about ETH? Because Gensler kept saying things like, we'd have to look at, such and such properties of an asset to declare it a security, blah, blah, blah. So obviously, Gensler didn't want to answer this question. Now, I'll link this and you can go watch it. It'll be in the YouTube description below. But what this whole kind of hearing, I think, showed was that crypto generally has become a very partisan issue in the US now, between the Democrats and the Republicans. It's unfortunate that it has become like this, but I think given that the US political system is already very divided, given that it's already very tribal, what ends up happening is that anything that one party is for, the other one is automatically against, and that happens for a lot of different issues, not just crypto. Now, in the crypto context, during this hearing, pretty much all of the Republican representatives were grilling Gensler, right? And they were grilling him not for not just for anything, but for like literally everything that we've been saying in crypto and what people working in crypto have been saying, or the lawyers have been saying, that there's no clarity, that the SEC's approach to regulating this industry is abhorrent. All they care about is bringing enforcement actions against companies, even if companies try to go to them and say, hey, how do we register? How do we do this? How do we be compliant? All that sorts of stuff. So all the Republicans were grilling Gensler about this. And then you had pretty much all the Democrats doing the complete opposite, and they were praising Gensler, saying that he was doing a good job. And there was one, Brad Sherman, who I believe is a representative in California, who had his nose so far up Gensler's ass, you could see it coming through his mouth. Seriously, it was so bad. I watched it, and Sherman was just constantly praising Gensler, saying that he was doing an amazing job, all this other stuff. And I was like, are you paying any attention at all, or are you just saying this because Gensler is a Biden appointee and you don't want to go against your party, right? Party over country, as they say, which obviously is what the political landscape is like a lot of the time, especially in the US. So while a lot of people were saying that this whole hearing generally was political theater, and while I agree with that to an extent, I think what it does is it just lays bare exactly where people stand on these issues and exactly where the SEC stands and where Gensler stands. So I think anyone with a normal functioning brain that is trying to look at this critically would watch this hearing and easily come to the conclusion that Gensler is not wanting to answer the questions, and that means he's either trying to hide something or he has his own agenda that he's trying to push, and he's just not open to basically giving clarity on anything. And once you see that, you would potentially dive in deeper and see, okay, is what Gary Gensler is saying true? Like, is there actually way for companies to register in crypto? Are these things actually securities? How are they regulating this? Blah, blah, blah. And that then shifts votes, right? That then can shift policy, because yes, a lot of it is political theater, a lot of it is bullshit politics, but what can come out of this is a change in policy. Now, of course, I don't expect Gary Gensler to be going anywhere unless the Republicans win the Senate and or the presidency kind of next year, in next year's election, late next year, I believe. If they don't win that, then I don't expect Gensler to be kicked out. I don't think that the Democrats are going to basically say, okay, well, let's get rid of Gensler, because one, they're praising him, and two, it looks bad, right? If the SEC chairman that was appointed by Biden gets kicked out for doing a shit job, it looks obviously really bad on the Democrats, and it becomes a point of attack for the Republicans and blah blah blah, right? All the political bullshit that we're all used to. So really, the only chance, there's two ways, from my understanding, that Gensler is removed here. He either gets promoted, which is just hilarious when you think about it, but he either gets promoted and goes to the Treasury Department, potentially replaces Janet Yellen there, or he gets removed if the Republicans win and then the next year. And that's a kind of two shitty choices, right? Because it's like, okay, if you're a Democrat and you align more with Democratic policies, and I'm not trying to get too political here, I'm just trying to give the context. But you're really into crypto, and crypto is like your livelihood in the US. Well, you've just become a single issue voter, right? The Democrats don't seem to be too progressive on crypto at all. They are praising a regulatory body in the SEC. They're praising Gensler for doing a good job when all the evidence points to the contrary, right? That they're doing a terrible job at even giving any guidance or anything for crypto. And then you become a single issue voter. So let's say that obviously your whole livelihood is crypto, but you're going to have to, if you want something to change, you're going to have to vote Republican. But let's say you align more with democratic social policies, for example, right? So this is, again, a really shitty thing about the two-party system in the US, where essentially you have to choose between two shitty outcomes. But in saying that, as I said, like, even though a lot of it is theater, it does translate into votes. It does translate into policy. It's just a slow-moving machine. So I really do appreciate the grilling that these people gave Gensler. I really appreciate that it wasn't just like the Democrats there just, and praising Gensler for all the apparent good work that he's been doing. It was the Republicans actually saying, hey, you're doing a really shit job because of this, and this reason, and we are, we are looking to basically get answers to this, and he didn't give them answers. Now, on that note as well, there was, I don't know if it was Warren Davidson or, no, it was Tom Emmer here. No, I think it's Warren. One of them introduced a bill to remove Gensler, I believe. I don't know if it was Warren Davidson or Tom Emmer. There's two clips here, which I'll link in the YouTube description below, of them also grilling Gensler about his I guess, like, shitty work within the crypto ecosystem here, and you can watch both of those clips. But yeah, they were on fire, honestly. Like, Tom got me fired up watching him go grill Gensler here, and honestly, it was a bit of a funny thing for people in crypto. Obviously, Gary Gensler is like one of the public enemies, or one of the biggest public enemies for crypto, because he's not really doing anything positive for crypto at all, and we can all see what all the negative stuff that he's doing. So to see him be, actually ask the questions that we ask on crypto Twitter, like, people reply to Gary Gensler's tweets, we know he's not going to see them, but we reply to those tweets with certain questions and certain remarks, and to see those remarks and questions repeated by these various politicians was really refreshing. And it wasn't like it was buried deep in the hearing either. The video that I shared here from Mr. McHenry happened very, very quickly. I believe in maybe the first 20 or 30 minutes of the hearing. So it wasn't hours into the hearing or anything, and they came out swinging. They really came out. I almost was getting the feeling that McHenry was like an ETH maxi, because he was asking Gensler so bluntly, is like, is ETH a security or a commodity? And that's exactly what I would ask him if I got into a room with Gary Gensler and he had to answer my questions. I would ask him, is ETH a security or a commodity in your view? And the fact that he kept deflecting and couldn't answer speaks volumes, right? It speaks volumes about what the SEC and Gary Gensler's approach to regulating is, and what it basically is regulation via enforcement, and also having this kind of like Schrodinger's cat approach to regulation, where when they're observing something, it's potentially a security, and when they're not observing it, it's potentially not a security, or it's potentially a commodity, or it's not a commodity, right? So this is just a really, really shit way to regulate not only crypto but financial markets in general. So I'm hoping that this hearing can lead to more positive action here, can lead to more clarity. But as I said, I'm not holding my breath, because there's really only two ways that Gensler can be removed. I mean, there's that third way where you can introduce a bill that gets voted on to remove him, but I'm not not across the actual specifics of that, but I would assume that it would require a majority of Congress to vote on that, and then for it to pass. And it's not going to happen because the Democrats aren't going to vote for it, right? And the Republicans vote for it, and then there's like a tiebreaker that ends up happening, or maybe it's just too much one way to another way. So yeah, I'm not holding my breath for that there. But if you want to have a bit of enjoyment watching Gensler get grilled after being so hostile towards crypto, and not just grilled for the sake of it, but grilled with facts, you can watch these videos from Mr. McHenry here, Warren Davidson, and Tom Emma, which I'll link in the YouTube description below. And last thing on that hearing, Phil Diane here from Flashbots put out a tweet where he said, SEC Chair Gary Gensler says he doesn't see the opportunity in crypto for small businesses. How about the fact that an 18-year-old kid can walk into the community discussion underlying a $250 billion financial system and be an equal at the table? Does Goldman Sachs provide that? And this is something that I don't think gets talked about enough within the crypto ecosystem, especially within the Ethereum ecosystem. It's a merit-based system, right? It's a meritocracy, or at least it tries to be. Obviously, nothing's perfect, but Ethereum really tries to be a meritocracy. So what that means is that, exactly as Phil says here, anyone can basically walk into a community discussion on the research side, on the development side, and wherever, and give their ideas and be listened to, as long as those ideas are good. There are plenty of examples of anons in this industry that build successful products, that do really great research, that do a lot of great writing. I mean, just to pick one off the top of my head, Polanaya, right, does a lot of great writing and research on crypto, has amassed a huge following, and has coined a few different terms and popularized the modular framework and things like that. And they're completely anon. I mean, I don't know who they are. I don't think most, if not all people know who they are, right? And even when they did interviews and things like that, they protect their anonymity there. So there are various examples of these types of people that can come into this industry and make a huge impact. You can't do that at Goldman Sachs. You can't do that at pretty much any centralized financial institution, let alone maybe centralized institutions in general. So that is a superpower that we have in this industry. And what's even cooler about this is that anyone can submit an EIP. So if you think that you have something that could improve the Ethereum network at the protocol level, well, you submit an EIP, you get it reviewed by various people, you talk about it to various people, you do the research, and maybe it gets included one day, right? You can have a profound effect on a $250 billion financial system. And just to pluck another example out of my head of where this has happened before, Eric Connor, my good friend and co-founder of ETHhub, a lot of you will know who he is, of course. A lot of you would have listened to the Into the Ether podcast back in the day. He was actually a co-author for EIP 1559, and he was I mean, not to undersell the work that he's done for the Ethereum ecosystem, but he was an Ethereum community member, right? He didn't work for the Ethereum Foundation. He worked at Gnosis, which is an app layer project, right? He wasn't part of the core devs or anything like that. He was a regular community member that kind of worked in the industry, that was like, hey, EIP 1559 is awesome, you know, and then ended up co-authoring it with, I believe, Vitalik, and I think there was a couple of others on there. I can't remember exactly who they were. And then 2.5 years later, that EIP went into the network, and that's there forever now. Well, unless it changes far into the future, but we obviously don't think it's going to change. So that kind of profound effect, can't have that anywhere else. So great tweet here from Phil Diane, I believe. All right, moving on to staking. So StakeWise V3 has shared an update. They say here, with Chapala officially a success, it's time to focus on what comes next for StakeWise, introducing the road to mainnet for StakeWise V3. And let's dive in here. Now, I've been talking about StakeWise V3 for quite a while now, about how you can spin up your own vault, whether you spin up your own private vault or your public vault. You can mint an LST called OSETH. So this basically gives the ability for solo stakers or people that are solo staking to mint a LST against their e-stake in a private vault if they would like to. And then there are public vaults as well, which can basically make anyone into a Lido operator, for example, right? Where essentially, to be a Lido operator right now, you have to be voted in by the Lido community, and it's a permission process. Whereas with StakeWise V3, it's completely permissionless. Anyone can set up a vault and start getting people sending ETH to them and then stake on their behalf, which I find very, very cool. Now, StakeWise has shared this road to mainnet roadmap here that you can that you can see. There's a bunch of different milestones here about when this is going to happen. Obviously, the last part before mainnet launch is a DAO vote. But I believe they are very close now because they're at the Pacific Public Testnet for StakeWise V3, second round of audits and patching. So they're basically almost at the finish line here with getting this thing launched. And I'm super excited for it. As I've said plenty of times on the refill before, I am planning to spin up my own V3 vault, my own public vault for the Daily Gwei community that you can stake with if you would like to. And I'll take a small commission of 5 to 10%, and that commission will be going towards funding public goods on Ethereum, Protocol Guild, Gitcoin, maybe a few other things out there if I come across them. I don't want to send it all to just one thing. I mean, I have donated a lot to the Protocol Guild so far. I think with my Rocket Pool rewards and the first year anniversary proceeds for the NFT that we did, I think I've donated maybe 200,000 plus US dollars so far to the Protocol Guild. So I want to spread that love around. I want to spread that to Gitcoin grants and to other organizations. So I'll be looking into that as I after I launch the actual pool here. But that's something that I'm definitely very much looking forward to. And of course, I'm looking forward to StakeWise V3 going live because it's another decentralized staking service that can take market share away from the centralized ones. Obviously, we have Rocket Pool live already, which I'm going to talk about in a sec, but I want more than Rocket Pool, right? Like, I love Rocket Pool, but I want more than them. I don't want to just have Rocket Pool being the only decentralized staking service out there. We need many. And that's not to say that all of them are going to succeed, or all of them are going to be massive, but I would love to see at least 2 or 3 of these things, preferably 3 of these things having 5+% market share at least on the Ethereum beacon chain. I would love to see that, just at least in the foreseeable future. Obviously, as time goes on, I would love to see the decentralized pools be the biggest on the network. And obviously next to solo staking, but and the centralized ones be smaller, but we'll have to see how it all plays out with the great reshuffling over the next year or two here. But yeah, you can go check out StakeWise's latest update. I'll link it in the YouTube description below. And speaking of Rocket Pool, so the Rocket Pool Twitter account tweeted out saying, the flawless launch of Atlas has been a resounding success. It marks a great step forward in Rocket Pool's mission to reduce barriers to entry for permissionless staking on Ethereum and contribute to its decentralization. 28,000 new ETH has been staked, with 1,000 new mini pools launched. And Jasper also put out some stats saying that in 28 hours, and this was in 28 hours to 1 p.m., which is about 10 hours ago now, 16,480 ETH in staking mini pools, over 17,000 ETH in pending mini pools, which means that over 33,000 ETH has been staked with Rocket Pool in just 28 hours since Atlas went live, which is obviously a huge milestone here for Rocket Pool. Now, this is very cool because, as you can see in the comments as well, how many net new node operators were spun up. There was 21 net new node operators. We want to see that number keep going up, right? But it's great to see that there's been a massive inflow of ETH stake into a decentralized service. Maybe, I don't know exactly where this has come from. It might have come from centralized exchanges like Kraken, obviously being forced to unstake. It can't have come from Lido unless people sold their ST ETH for ETH and then go into Rocket Pool, obviously because Lido doesn't have withdrawals enabled yet. It could come from Binance and Coinbase as well, but it could come from anywhere. It could come from new stakers coming in because an 8 ETH mini pool is something that they can be a part of now, or that RETH premium I think the RETH premium has collapsed, I believe, so that more people can get involved with it. So yeah, I mean, Rocket Pool's just had amazing growth over the last, I guess, it was coming up on probably 48 hours by the time you watch this video, and it's great to see that the Atlas upgrade has gone off without a hitch. I'm planning to convert my mini pools to 8 ETH mini pools very soon. I want to add a few more, as I've said before. Technically, I'm going to be adding 4 new mini pools to get to 20, because I wanted to get to 16 ETH mini pools, but now it's going to be 8 ETH mini pools, so I'm going to get to 20 there and keep adding as time goes on. But honestly, if you've been sitting on the fence about getting started here and you have the necessary ETH required, it is so easy to get started. As I've said in the past, you don't need powerful hardware, and the Rocket Pool Smart Node stack is very, very easy to use. And I mean, I think it's the easiest way to stake, honestly, on your own. Obviously, the easiest way to stake, I mean, for better or worse, is just putting putting your coins on a centralized exchange and staking with Coinbase or something, or trading your ETH for our ETH. But in terms of kind of like running the actual software yourself, I would definitely say that Rocket Pool is by far the easiest way right now. It's easier than solo staking, that's for sure. Solo staking with like a DAppNode or an Avado is pretty easy, but I wouldn't say. I would say the smart node stack is probably easier than that, but that's a close second. In terms of like just solo staking on your own, where you're setting it up all on your own, it is definitely harder than setting up a smart node stack. So this is definitely something that anyone with the required ETH should look into, because I'm sure that if you have the required ETH, you would be able to get the required hardware as well, which, as I've said before, you can get the required hardware for like $500 US. It's not that much that you would have to spend to do that. And then you can start earning rewards on your ETH stake, start earning RPL rewards as well. And start contributing to the security of the Ethereum network. All right, Julian here has put out an update on Verkle Trees. So it starts off the tweet thread by saying, "What's up with Verkle Trees? We've been working on the conversion from the current Merkle tree to a Verkle tree. This is a challenging problem because the amount of data is huge. It doesn't find in RAM and needs at least a day for the translation to complete on a beefy machine." And then it continues by saying, "To this end, the unwavering Parathosh and myself have revisited the options and dumped our thoughts in this document, which is a document titled Verkle Transition." So if you're interested in learning about the bleeding edge of the Verkle tree transition, going from Merkle trees to Verkle trees, and what that will possibly look like, you should definitely give this document a read. It is quite technical. If you don't know what I'm talking about in terms of Merkle trees and Verkle trees, then it might not be something that you will that you'll be able to understand, but probably still worth reading it just to get some extra context around this. And there's also a thread here from Julian where he summarizes this as well, so that might be something that'll be easier for you to understand there. But great to see the progress being made here. Now, for those of you who don't know who this person is, they are a Geth core devs at the Ethereum Foundation. So they're not just some random person talking about Verkle trees. They are pretty much one of the main people working on this. So there's really probably no one better to get the information from than someone like him here. So yeah, I'll link this in the YouTube description below for you to go check out. All right, something I came across recently was this kind of app called Family. So Family, they say here, they've captioned this video here with, "Family is great at simplifying complex processes, as shown in this real swap example that leverages the power of 0x in the background. Each step seamlessly transitions into the next, providing clear visibility at every stage of the process." So basically what they're showing here is a really easy to use interface for swapping tokens with 0x being used in the background. So you can see here they're swapping ETH for USDC, which of course is sacrilege. You should never do that. But they're swapping it, they're confirming it on your iPhone with Face ID, and then it's all done there very, very easily. Now, I've talked about all this abstraction that's happening on the wallet level and how it's becoming more and more abstracted over time. But it's great to see another player enter the fray here. I believe Family is actually a new wallet that's been launched here. Yeah, it's the self-custody crypto wallet you'll love. So yeah, this is something that you can go check out for yourself. I don't know. No, it's not live yet. So you can go check out the website and things, but it's arriving this year. And I think that they're going with the goal of being the most quote unquote normie friendly wallet out there. And I guess there's nothing wrong with more and more normie friendly wallets going live. I think that there are a lot of wallets already, but at the end of the day, the thing with wallets is that, one, you need to win on UX, because winning on fees is not really an option, because fees are just going to trend to zero over time. So you really do need to win on UX. And then once you can get people into the front door there, you can charge people or make money off of them in other ways. You don't necessarily have to charge them fees, but you can do things like payment for order flow in the background, which is used in TradFi, which is basically MEV. We call it MEV in crypto, but it's basically the same thing. There's value added services, all that sorts of stuff. So capturing that kind of market is definitely lucrative if you can do it. But yeah, as I said, you can go check out Family. Just something I came across that I wanted to highlight for you guys. I'll link it in the YouTube description below. All right, last up here is something that YQ has announced. So they've launched something called ETHgpt.org, which is a GPT-powered chatbot for up-to-date Ethereum information. They say here, we've taken Solidity GPT to the next level by integrating resources like Geth and ETH research, keeping you informed, and then there's a GitHub repository here. So I don't know if this is going to replace me as your source of Ethereum information. I hope it doesn't, but this is very cool because you can type in any question you want, I assume, and get, I guess, like information about it. So let's type in, they've got an example here of what's the Shanghai Chapala upgrade. So let's just type that in and see what answer they give us here and how fast it happens. So it's just thinking right now. It's still thinking. I don't know if this is going to be too slow for it to be captured on video here, but essentially, it's using the ChatGPT technology or OpenAI's kind of technology here to run this in the background and to give answers. And it's going quite slow, I think. Maybe they've rate limited it because so many people have been interacting with it. But let's let that cook for a little bit. I believe YQ continues in this thread with more information on this, as well as linking to a GitHub repository that you can go check out for yourself as well. And I'll go to the GitHub repository and see what's on there right now. Yeah, it just basically explains what this is. It has the code there, and you can clone it locally and run it all locally, I believe, as well, and get an API key, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this doesn't seem to be processing right now. It's still waiting for a response, unfortunately. So not sure if they've rate limited it or what's going on there, but you can definitely go check this out. I'll link it in the YouTube description below. But this kind of stuff is very cool. I remember I showcased a couple of weeks ago, there was a service that I think it was called Crypto Feeds that had indexed all of the Daily Gwei episodes on the podcast, and basically you can search on there for anything that you wanted, and it would highlight where I talked about it on the Daily Gwei. So that's very, very cool, and a really cool way of finding things I've previously spoken about. And I've actually used it a few times when people ask me, hey, when did you speak about this, or do you have the link for when you spoke about that? And I quickly find it using that tool. As I said, that tool, I don't know if I have it handy with me right now. I think I bookmarked it. I'm just going to go over here and check. Yeah, Coin Feeds. Here we go. It's this website here that I showed. It's doing a similar thing. So Coin Feeds, and I asked it what is MEV, and as you can see, it pops up with a bunch of responses from my own episodes here. So I'll link this in the YouTube description below as well for you to check out, just in case you haven't seen this before. But this one, this new one here, ETHgpt, is still loading. It's probably not going to do so in time for the video here. So sorry about that, but you can of course check it out for yourself. I'll link it in the YouTube description below. Now I got a couple of minutes here, just something that I wanted to quickly say. I have been seeing all your DMs about the Farcaster invites that I offered to you guys. I ran out of invites like 2 days ago. I had so many DMs and I only had 65 invites, so I gave them on the first come first serve basis. If I haven't gotten to you yet, apologies. I will leave your DMs there and I will get to you once I get more invites. I've already asked for them. Not sure if I'm going to get them or not, but hopefully I do, and I'll get back to you through the DMs. Now, please, if you want a Farcaster invite, you can still feel free to DM me. As I said, I don't have invites right now, but when I do get them, I'll be sure to get back to you. But please, when you message me, just message me your email straight away so I can quickly do it without having to ask you for your email. I had to do that quite a few times, and it just slows things down. So yeah, just when you message me, say, hey, can I please have a Farcaster invite, and then put your email there and I'll invite you. I only need your email for the invite. I'm not storing it or anything like that. I'm just doing it so I can invite you to the service there. And please only DM me on Twitter or on Discord. You're probably going to get a response faster on Discord because Twitter is full of spam. So yeah, just want to make that very clear for people who've been trying to get an invite. But I'll let you guys know when I have more invites available once I've gone through the backlog, once I get the invites. But anyway, on that note, that's going to be it for today. So thank everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.